Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into something many of us see every day but might not fully understand: the humble 1-cent coin. It's small, it's copper-colored, and we often toss it aside without much thought. But did you know that the 1-cent coin has a fascinating history, holds significant value, and still plays a crucial role in our economy? Stick around as we explore the story of the 1-cent coin, its origins, its role in the world today, and the surprising worth of some of these little coins. Let's start by looking back in time. The history of the 1-cent coin stretches all the way back to the birth of the United States. The first U.S. 1-cent coin was introduced in 1793. That's right, more than 230 years ago. But what you might not know is that the first 1-cent coin was quite different from the ones we see today. The first 1-cent coin, known as the chain cent, was made of copper and featured a chain design on the reverse. This coin was a bit larger than modern-day cents and featured an image of Lady Liberty on the obverse. But the design didn't last long. In 1796, it was replaced by a new design that became iconic: the Liberty Cap cent. Over the years, the design of the 1-cent coin has evolved significantly. Fast forward to 1857, and the U.S. Mint switched to the Flying Eagle design, followed by the Indian head cent in 1859, which featured a portrait of Lady Liberty wearing a Native American headdress. This design continued for several decades. In 1909, the U.S. Mint introduced what we now know as the Lincoln cent, honoring the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. The Lincoln cent was a groundbreaking design, and it's the 1-cent coin most people recognize today. Now, let's talk about what the 1-cent coin is made of. The earliest 1-cent coins were made of solid copper. But in 1982, due to rising copper prices, the U.S. Mint switched to a copper-plated zinc composition. These coins are now composed of 97.5% zinc and just 2.5% copper. So, how much is a 1-cent coin worth today? Well, officially, 1 cent equals 1 penny, which is 1/100th of a dollar. But because of inflation and the rising costs of production, the actual cost to mint a 1-cent coin exceeds its face value. As of recent reports, it costs more than 2 cents to produce just 1-cent coin. Isn't that mind-blowing? Despite its low value, the 1-cent coin plays a crucial role in everyday life. In the United States, pennies are still widely used in cash transactions. From grocery shopping to vending machines, the 1-cent coin is everywhere. However, there's an ongoing debate about whether the U.S. should continue producing pennies. Critics argue that it's not cost-effective and that most people rarely use them. In fact, countries like Canada and the UK have phased out their 1-cent coins entirely. But even in the face of rising costs, many people still hold on to their pennies. Some even collect them as part of coin collections or use them in creative ways. On screen, show rare, valuable coins like the 1943 copper penny and others in the coin collecting community. Asterisk now, here's where things get really interesting. While most 1-cent coins are worth just 1 penny, some are actually worth thousands of dollars. That's right. Rare pennies, such as the 1943 copper penny, have sold for over $1 million at auction. Why? Well, during World War II, the U.S. Mint switched to making pennies out of steel to conserve copper for the war effort. But a few 1943 pennies were accidentally made with copper, and these coins are now among the rarest and most valuable in the world. In fact, there are fewer than 20 of these copper pennies known to exist, and one recently sold for over $1.7 million. But that's not the only rare penny to watch for. There are also valuable pennies from other years, such as the 1909 SVDD Lincoln cent, which features the initials of the designer, Victor David Brenner. This coin can sell for over $100,000 in pristine condition. Let's wrap up with some fun facts about pennies that you may not have known. Did you know that the U.S. Mint has produced over 300 billion pennies since it began minting them? That's a lot of coins. the Lincoln cent is the longest-running coin design in U.S. history, and it has been in circulation for more than 100 years. Pennies are so common that if you stacked 1 million of them, it would be about 2.5 miles tall. So, the 1-cent coin may seem insignificant, but it's an integral part of our history, our economy, and even our collection world. From its humble beginnings to its surprising value today, the penny has certainly earned its place in U.S. coinage. And who knows, the next penny you find could be worth far more than you ever expected. We're diving into something you've probably held in your hands thousands of times, but haven't given much thought to, the 1-cent coin. It's tiny, it's copper-colored, and it seems so ordinary, doesn't it? But believe me, there's much more to this little coin than meets the eye. In today's video, we'll explore the history of the penny, its value, and yes, even the surprising wealth that some of these coins can hold. So stick around and let's uncover the hidden treasures of the 1-cent coin. To truly appreciate the 1-cent coin, we first have to go back in time, all the way to the birth of the United States. The U.S. Mint was established in 1792, and the very first 1-cent coin was struck in 1793. This coin, known as the chain cent, was made of solid copper and featured a chain on the reverse side, symbolizing the unity of the states in the newly formed nation. The design was short-lived, lasting only a few years before being replaced in 1796 with a new design featuring Lady Liberty wearing a cap. But these early coins were an important step in the creation of a national currency, marking the beginning of the journey for the humble penny. As time passed, the penny underwent numerous design changes to reflect the evolving identity of the nation. In 1857, the U.S. Mint released the Flying Eagle cent, followed by the Indian Head cent in 1859, which is another beloved design that has captured the hearts of many collectors. This version of the penny featured a portrait of Lady Liberty wearing a Native American headdress. But in 1909, something truly special happened. The U.S. Mint introduced the Lincoln cent, a design that would become the most recognizable penny in history. This design, featuring the profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and 2 stalks of wheat on the reverse, is still in use today, though the reverse design was changed to the Lincoln Memorial in 1959. Now, let's talk about the penny's composition. While the earliest pennies were made entirely of copper, times have changed. In 1982, due to the rising cost of copper, the U.S. Mint switched to a new material for the penny, a copper-plated zinc composition. Today, pennies are 97.5% zinc, with only a small 2.5% copper coating. It's fascinating how something so small and simple can be made from materials with such a large price difference. In fact, the cost of producing a single penny is now greater than its face value. Today, it costs around 2.5 cents to produce 1 penny. But even though it's losing money to produce, the penny still circulates and remains a staple of everyday transactions. Despite the rising costs of production, the penny is still widely used in the United States. Whether it's paying for a candy bar at the grocery store or tossing a penny in a fountain for good luck, this small coin plays an unexpected role in our daily lives. But you might be wondering, is it really worth it? Is the penny still necessary in today's fast-paced, cashless society? There's been a lot of debate about whether we should get rid of the penny altogether, with countries like Canada and the United Kingdom phasing out their low-value coins. But in the US, the penny still clings to life, despite the arguments for its discontinuation. Now, here's where things get really interesting. While most pennies are worth, well, just 1 cent, some of them can be worth a lot more. A lot more. Yes, you heard that right. Some pennies are so rare and valuable that they've sold for millions of dollars at auction. Let's start with the legendary 1943 copper penny. In 1943, due to World War II, the U.S. Mint switched to producing pennies made of steel to conserve copper. But a few pennies were accidentally minted with copper that year, a mistake that would create one of the rarest coins in history. Fewer than 20 of these copper pennies exist, and they are worth a fortune. In fact, one recently sold for a record $1.7 million. And it doesn't stop there. The 1909 SVDB Lincoln cent is another penny worth far more than its face value. The VDB stands for Victor David Brenner, the coin's designer, whose initials were accidentally included on the coin in 1909. Only a small number of these pennies were minted in San Francisco, making them highly sought after by collectors. In perfect condition, this penny can fetch upwards of $100,000. Another famous rare penny is the 1922 Nodi Lincoln cent. This coin was supposed to have a mint mark on it, but due to a mistake in production, many of these coins were minted without the D mint mark. This small flaw makes the 1922 Nodi penny one of the most valuable coins in circulation. Did you know that the US Mint has produced over 300 billion pennies since its inception? That's more than any other coin in history. If you stacked 1 million pennies, it would reach a height of about 2.5 miles. That's taller than many of the world's tallest buildings. The term penny actually comes from the Old English word pennig, meaning coin or money. It's one of the oldest terms for money in the English language. So what does the future hold for the 1-cent coin? While there's still widespread use of pennies today, some experts believe that digital payments and inflation might eventually make the penny obsolete. Countries around the world have already phased out low-value coins, so could the US be next? The debate continues, but for now, the penny lives on. So there you have it. The 1-cent coin is far more than just pocket change. With a rich history, surprising value, and rare treasures still in circulation, the penny holds a special place in both American currency and in the hearts of collectors. Whether it's worth a penny or millions of dollars, it's clear that the 1-cent coin has made a big impact on our economy and our culture. Next time you find a penny, take a closer look. You never know what treasures might be hiding in your pocket. Thanks for watching. If you learned something new today, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and subscribe for more fascinating videos about coins, currency, and history. And leave a comment below. Do you think the penny should stay, or should it be retired? Until next time, happy collecting. We'll be looking at the 1984 D penny, a coin that's seen over 40 years of circulation. But what makes this coin special? And is it worth more than just 1 cent today? Stick with us to find out. To understand the significance of the 1984 D penny, we need to take a step back in time to the early 1980s. The US was coming off a challenging economic period marked by high inflation, the oil crisis, and political tensions abroad. But by 1984, the country was beginning to bounce back. The economy was improving, and people were seeing growth in jobs, wages, and consumer confidence. Amidst these changes, the US Mint was busy at work, producing coins for circulation. The 1984 1-cent coin was part of this effort. Like most pennies produced during this time, it was minted to keep up with the ever-growing need for small change in daily transactions. The D mint mark on the 1984 penny means it was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the busiest mints in the United States. With over 7.5 billion 1-cent coins minted in 1984, the penny was certainly a major player in the currency system. But did you know that by the time the 1980s rolled around, the penny had already been in circulation for more than 70 years in its current design? Let's take a closer look at the design of the 1984 D penny. On the obverse, we have the iconic image of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This design has been in use since 1909, making it one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coin history. Lincoln, whose face has graced the penny for over a century, is a symbol of unity, freedom, and the American ideals of democracy. The inscriptions on the front of the coin, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," alongside the year 1984, are key features of the obverse. On the reverse side, we have the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. This design was introduced in 1959, replacing the original wheat ears design, which had been on the penny since 1909. The memorial stands as a tribute to one of the greatest presidents in American history. The reverse design has remained unchanged for over 60 years, making it one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. It is both a symbol of Lincoln's legacy and the enduring nature of the U.S. Mint's commitment to preserving historical figures in its coinage. In 1984, the U.S. Mint produced a staggering 7.5 billion one-cent coins. Of that total, approximately 4.6 billion pennies were minted at the Denver Mint, denoted by the D Mint mark. This makes the 1984 D penny one of the most commonly produced pennies in U.S. history. With that high of a production number, you might be thinking, well, that doesn't sound very rare. And you'd be right. Most 1984 D pennies are quite common. But in the world of coin collecting, it's not always about rarity alone. There are still factors like condition, grade, and even potential errors that can give a coin value beyond its face value. Coins that are in excellent condition are worth more to collectors. If a 1984 D penny is in pristine, uncirculated condition, it could be worth a few dollars, especially if it's graded as MS-65 or higher. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin becomes. Pennies with sharp details and no visible wear are highly sought after. In fact, a 1984 D penny that's graded at MS-66 or higher could fetch anywhere from $5 to $10 at auction, depending on the market. But remember, these are in mint condition, so the next time you find a 1984 D penny in your pocket, take a good look and check its condition. Now, this is where things get interesting. While the 1984 D penny is generally not considered a rare coin, there are some unique era varieties that can really increase its value. One of the most sought-after varieties of the 1984 D penny is the 1984 DD over D double mint mark era. This happens when the mint mark D is struck over another D, creating a noticeable doubling effect. These types of era coins are considered rare and can command a premium price among collectors. If you happen to stumble upon a 1984 D penny with this type of error, you could be holding a coin worth hundreds of dollars, depending on its condition and how well the error is visible. Error coins are always fascinating because they're unique, a product of mistakes at the mint that can turn a regular coin into something extraordinarily valuable. Even though the 1984 D penny is one of the most common coins in circulation, it still holds value for collectors. Coins from this era are a great way for new collectors to get started. The 1984 D penny is part of the broader history of U.S. currency, and as time passes, it may gain more appeal as a piece of American numismatic history. Whether you're just starting out as a coin collector or you're an experienced numismatist, the 1984 D penny is a great coin to keep an eye on. Its value may not be sky high right now, but in the future, as the years go by, its historical significance might make it more desirable to collectors. So, what's the takeaway about the 1984 D penny? Most of these coins are still circulating today, and while they're worth just 1 cent, they can hold value depending on their condition, rarity, and any special errors that might exist. While it may not be the most valuable penny in your collection, the 1984 D penny is a great example of how the seemingly mundane can hold historical significance. Coin collecting is all about discovery. The more you learn about coins like the 1984 D penny, the more you can appreciate their value and their role in our currency system. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1984 D penny. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more coin-related content. And remember, keep collecting, and who knows what hidden treasures you might find in your pocket. Let's start at the very beginning. The US 1 cent coin was first minted in 1793, making it one of the earliest coins in the history of the United States. The very first version of the penny was known as the chain cent. It featured a chain encircling the words United States of America and had a figure of Lady Liberty on the reverse side holding a pole with a liberty cap atop it. Not the most elegant design, but it was revolutionary at the time. As time went on, the design evolved. The 1795 Liberty Cap cent replaced the original design with a more refined and iconic image of liberty. However, these early coins were actually quite large, and they became cumbersome to carry around. Over time, the penny's size would shrink, and the designs would shift, reflecting the changes in American society. Fast forward to 1856, and we see the introduction of the Flying Eagle cent, the first smaller, more modern-looking penny. It had an eagle in flight on the reverse and is highly sought after by collectors today. By 1859, the Indian head cent took over, featuring a Native American headdress on the obverse and a wreath on the reverse. This design lasted for decades and became a symbol of America's evolving identity. But the most iconic penny design of all time came in 1909. To commemorate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth, the U.S. Mint introduced the Lincoln cent, which has graced the penny ever since. Abraham Lincoln's portrait has become a defining symbol of the penny, and over time, we've seen subtle updates to the reverse designs, starting with the wheat stalks of the wheat penny in 1909, which remained until 1958. After 1958, the design on the reverse side of the coin changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial, a powerful tribute to Lincoln's legacy. This design lasted until 2009, when a series of special reverses were issued to celebrate the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth, showing different stages of his life. Finally, in 2010, we saw the debut of the Union Shield design on the reverse side of the penny. This symbol of unity represents the strength of the United States, and it's still in use today. Now, let's talk about the value of the 1-cent coin. In terms of its purchasing power, the penny has definitely seen better days. Back in the early 1900s, a penny could buy you a loaf of bread, a stick of chewing gum, or even a piece of candy. But today, well, let's just say it's not as mighty. In fact, as inflation took its toll over the years, the penny's purchasing power has dramatically decreased. In 1950, a penny could still buy a gallon of milk. By the 1980s, though, it had become much less useful in the marketplace. In today's economy, a penny can't even buy a single piece of candy. However, despite this loss in value, the U.S. Mint continues to produce pennies, billions of them every year. But here's the kicker: it actually costs more to produce a penny than it's worth. Currently, it costs about 2.1 cents to produce a single penny. This includes the cost of materials, copper and zinc, and the process of minting. So, every time a penny is made, the U.S. government loses money on it. And that brings up an important question: should we continue to make pennies at all? We'll come back to that in a moment. Now, let's talk about the surprising side of the penny, the ones that can make you a millionaire. While most pennies are worth only 1 cent, there are a handful of rare pennies out there that can fetch a jaw-dropping price at auction. One of the most famous and valuable pennies is the 1943 copper penny. During World War II, the U.S. Mint switched to making pennies out of steel to conserve copper for the war effort. However, a small number of copper pennies were accidentally minted in 1943, making them incredibly rare. One of these pennies sold for over $1.7 million at auction in 2010. Another penny that's worth a small fortune is the 1909 SVDB Lincoln cent. This coin was minted with the initials of its designer, Victor David Brenner, on the reverse side. Due to its limited mintage and design, it's extremely rare. In excellent condition, it can fetch up to $100,000 or more. And let's not forget about the 1856 Flying Eagle cent. While technically never intended for circulation, these pennies were minted in small numbers and are incredibly rare. A well-preserved Flying Eagle cent can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. With all this talk about rare pennies and their big worth, let's circle back to an important question. Is the penny still relevant in today's world? The cost of production, coupled with its decreased purchasing power, has led some people to call for the elimination of the 1-cent coin. Several countries, including Canada, have already retired their lowest denomination coins, and some economists believe the US should do the same. While many argue that the penny is no longer necessary, others believe that it's an important part of US history and culture, and that's why it remains in circulation today. So there you have it, the 1-cent coin or the penny. Despite its humble appearance and decreasing value, it holds a special place in the heart of American coinage. It has traveled through time, from its early days in the 18th century to today's debates about its future. And with rare pennies fetching millions at auctions, it's clear that these small coins still have big potential. Who knows? Maybe that penny you find in your pocket today could be worth a fortune tomorrow. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the history and value of the penny, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss another fascinating episode. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts. Do you think the penny should be retired, or should we keep it around? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. This penny might seem ordinary, but it's part of a bigger story in American coinage. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone interested in coins, stick around as we dive deep into the history, mintage, and potential value of this little coin that packs a punch. Let's get started. The year 1995 marked a pivotal time in the United States, both socially and economically. The 1990s were characterized by strong economic growth, technological advancements, and a booming stock market. On the flip side, the government was dealing with the aftermath of the Cold War and rising global tensions. Despite these challenges, everyday life for many Americans seemed to improve as the economy flourished. And that's where the 1995 D-penny comes in. The U.S. Mint was working hard to produce the coins necessary to fuel the growing economy, and in 1995, more than 8 billion 1-cent coins were minted across the country. Just like many of the pennies produced in the 1990s, the 1995 D-penny was designed to meet the high demand for small change. But while this coin was intended for circulation, its production was part of a much larger story in U.S. coin history. The penny had been in its current design for decades, and by 1995, it was a staple in American currency. Now, let's take a look at the design of the 1995 D-penny. On the front, or obverse, we have the well-known image of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This design has been in use for more than 100 years, making it one of the most enduring and recognizable images in U.S. coinage. President Lincoln, a symbol of unity and freedom, has graced the 1-cent coin since 1909. The inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" appear along with the year 1995, marking the year of minting. The details in this portrait remain a key part of the coin's legacy. On the reverse, we see the familiar Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. This design was introduced in 1959, replacing the original wheat ears reverse design. The Lincoln Memorial stands as a tribute to Lincoln's enduring legacy, and it's been featured on the penny for over 60 years. The reverse has remained largely unchanged for decades, and its grandeur makes it an iconic feature on this penny. These consistent designs are part of what gives the penny its historical importance and widespread recognition. In 1995, the U.S. Mint produced an impressive 8 billion 1-cent coins. Of this massive total, 4.6 billion were minted at the Denver Mint, denoted by the D mint mark. This makes the 1995 D-penny one of the most common pennies in circulation today. With so many of these pennies out there, it's no surprise that most of them are still found in your pocket change. But that doesn't mean the 1995 D-penny is without value in the world of coin collecting. As we'll see in a moment, certain factors can elevate the value of this otherwise common coin. Despite the high production numbers, it's important to understand that coins from the 1990s, including the 1995 D-penny, can still have a place in your collection if they're in pristine condition or have unique characteristics. Now, let's talk about the value of the 1995 D-penny. As we mentioned, most of these coins are worth just 1 cent. After all, With over 8 billion of them minted, they are far from rare. However, the condition of the coin plays a huge role in determining its value. Coins in good condition are always more valuable than those that are worn or heavily circulated. So, a 1995 D-penny that's in excellent condition could fetch a premium price, especially if it's graded as MS65 or higher. For example, a 1995 D-penny in mint state, with no signs of wear and excellent detail, can be worth anywhere from $1 to $5, depending on the market. But when you get into higher grades, such as MS67 or higher, the price can climb even more. At the high end of the spectrum, a 1995 D-penny in pristine, uncirculated condition could sell for $10 to $15, depending on the demand and specific grade. So, even though it's a common coin, there are still opportunities to make a little extra cash if you happen to find one in excellent condition. Now, let's dive into something that excites many collectors: error coins. Error coins are always highly sought after in the world of numismatics, and while the 1995 D-penny doesn't have as many famous errors as other years, there are still a few anomalies worth looking out for. One of the most interesting error types for the 1995 D-penny is the double die variety. A double die occurs when the coin's die is misaligned during the minting process, resulting in doubled images on the coin. These can be particularly noticeable on the Liberty or In God We Trust inscriptions. If you happen to find a 1995 D-penny with noticeable doubling, it could be worth hundreds of dollars, depending on its condition. So, always inspect your pennies carefully for potential errors. Another error to keep an eye out for is the off-center strike. While not as common, it's always worth looking closely at your coins to see if you've found something rare. Even though the 1995 D-penny may not be worth much in terms of face value, its historical significance and appeal to collectors make it an interesting addition to any collection. The 1995 D-penny is part of a long-standing tradition of U.S. coinage, and it represents a snapshot in time from the mid-1990s. Over the years, the penny has become more than just a coin. It's a piece of American history. And while it might not have the same value as a rare coin from earlier centuries, the 1995 D-penny is still a part of that ongoing legacy. Whether you're a casual collector or a serious numismatist, the 1995 D-penny provides an opportunity to connect with the past and appreciate the intricate process that goes into minting American coins. So, there you have it, the 1995 D-penny. While it may be one of the most common pennies in circulation, its history, design, and potential for unique errors make it a coin worth paying attention to. Whether you're looking for a coin in excellent condition, hoping to find an error, or just adding to your collection, the 1995 D-penny is still a piece of history. Coin collecting is all about finding those hidden gems, and even the most common coins, like the 1995 D-penny, can hold more value than you might think. Keep your eyes peeled for unusual characteristics and keep collecting. If you enjoyed learning about the 1995 D-penny and want to dive deeper into the world of coin collecting, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, every coin tells a story. Happy collecting! The first coin wasn't the most popular due to its large size, and soon enough, the U.S. Mint began redesigning the coin. The next notable version was the Liberty Cap cent, which became iconic for its representation of liberty and American values. The coin's size also began to shrink, moving closer to the size we see today. As the years passed, several other designs emerged. In 1856, the famous Flying Eagle cent appeared, which was soon replaced by the Indian Head cent in 1859. This design continued for decades, becoming a beloved symbol of American identity. The next game-changing design was the wheat penny in 1909. This coin, featuring the iconic wheat stalks on the reverse, was issued to commemorate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. Since then, Lincoln's image has remained on the obverse of the penny. Speaking of Lincoln, His face has been gracing the 1-cent coin ever since 1909, making it the longest-running design in U.S. coinage history. Though the reverse design of the penny has changed multiple times, Lincoln's portrait endures, symbolizing stability through the years. In 2010, the reverse of the penny changed once again, this time featuring the Union Shield, symbolizing the strength and unity of the United States. This design was introduced during the height of the recession, which added an extra layer of significance to the coin during a difficult time. Now, we all know that the 1-cent coin, today, doesn't hold much buying power. After all, a penny today can't even buy a candy bar. But did you know that its value has fluctuated greatly over time? In the early 1900s, a penny could buy a loaf of bread. In fact, many people argue that the penny's value has decreased significantly due to inflation. However, it has managed to stay in circulation, and today, the U.S. Mint still produces billions of them every year. Despite its low purchasing power today, the 1-cent coin costs more to produce than its actual value. According to the U.S. Mint, it costs about 2.1 cents to make each penny, more than double its face value. The rising cost of materials and manufacturing has led some to question whether it's time to retire the penny altogether. But don't be fooled, some pennies are worth far more than just 1 cent. In fact, rare and historical pennies can be worth thousands, or even millions, of dollars. You just need to know what to look for. One of the most famous rare pennies is the 1943 copper penny. You see, during World War II, the U.S. Mint switched to producing pennies out of steel to conserve copper for the war effort. However, a few copper pennies were accidentally minted that year, making them incredibly rare. One of these copper pennies was sold for over $1.7 million in 2010. Another highly sought-after penny is the 1909 SVDB Lincoln cent. This coin, with the VDB initials of the designer Victor David Brenner, was minted in limited numbers. Today, a well-preserved version can be worth over $100,000. And let's not forget the famous 1856 Flying Eagle cent. If you ever come across one of these rare beauties, you might be holding a coin worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on its condition. So, the question is, should we still use pennies today? With the cost of production increasing, many argue that it's time to retire the 1-cent coin. Countries like Canada, Australia, and New Zealand have already phased out their lowest denomination coins. Meanwhile, here in the U.S., some cities have even proposed eliminating the penny from circulation. However, despite its dwindling relevance, the penny remains an integral part of American history. Plus, it's still used in everyday transactions, and many collectors still appreciate the coin for its legacy. In the end, whether you love it or hate it, the 1-cent coin has a long and fascinating history. From its humble beginnings to its current status as a collector's item and symbol of American history, the penny has seen it all. And who knows, maybe someday, one of those pennies you've got in your pocket will be worth a small fortune. So, next time you see a penny, remember that it's not just loose change, it's a piece of history, and perhaps a glimpse into the future of coinage. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1-cent coin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep collecting and stay curious.